Hello there guys, welcome along to our 8th season Offsprint. Codename this time is Unity. Roborace, if you're not aware, is the world's first all-electric, fully autonomous racing series, and you join us tonight for our latest digital sim challenge. Roborace competitions divide up into two parts, Season Beta and the Offsprints, one of which of course we've got tonight. Season Beta though is our full on-track series, and there are 7 competing teams in that series, each of whom code a custom artificial intelligence capable of driving a race car. We then download them one at a time into one of our DevBot 2.0 race cars, and we put them on the start line at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, no less, where the AI takes full control and goes racing. It's pretty cool. There's nothing quite like seeing an empty LMP3 style race car flying around the track. And with each round of the competition, or missions as we call them, these AIs are getting faster and faster and faster. We're actually about 3/4 of the way through Season Beta, which is being led by a team called the Roborace SIT Autonomous, who have clearly coded a really smart and super rapid artificial intelligence. The second part of the Roborace challenge, which is where Roborace SIT have also been really strong, is these Offsprint challenges. Now these are held entirely in the digital world, but instead of using a DevBot, the real car, our teams download the same AI into a virtual robocar before hitting the very same layout at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, albeit virtual. Other than that though, the rules, the challenges and the intensity of the competition are almost identical to what we see in the real world. Now these Offsprint challenges are really a great way for the teams to keep up the pace of racing AI development as they sprint off between themselves. It also allows the teams really to take greater risks as well with what they challenge the AI to do, as any accident that happens typically doesn't involve an £800,000 carbon fibre body race car, which was particularly true and of some relief, I think, to the Roborace organisers as well in Offsprint 7, when Team ARG's AI, Raptor, flew off the track on the back straight at over 100 miles an hour. That would have been expensive for sure. Now the final piece of our puzzle even, it's been raining a lot here in England, so excuse me, the Roborace Metaverse. Now this, if you're not familiar with it, I'm sure you probably all know what a metaverse is by now. This is our augmented reality that infuses our real world and allows us to drop items onto the track that the AIs have to contend with out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Now sometimes those things are positive bonuses, so things to pick up. There might be walls that have to be avoided, or best of all, our ghost cars, and we're going to see an interesting spin on the ghost cars in our Offsprint challenge tonight. Ghost cars though are rival racers out on the course that the teams have to pass and stay ahead of if they want to win, which is effectively simulating the wheel-to-wheel racing, which is what Roborace is building towards in the near future. So as I said, we're now on our 8th Offsprint challenge, and the ghost cars have been getting faster and more aggressive with every round, so I'm looking forward to seeing how the teams get on with racing against those tonight. And as I said, something quite special about the ghost cars to look forward to in this challenge. Now, speaking of the teams, we've got a colossal matchup this evening. It's a real heavyweight championship bout between two big swingers so far in the Roborace series. Roborace SIT Autonomous, I've already mentioned those guys. They're going head-to-head tonight with Team Polymove, one of our newest teams. And this promises to be a real clash of the titans as two of our fastest teams line up once again at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. First on track are the winners of no fewer than 6 of the previous 7 Offsprints, so they're very much the team in form. It's a Roborace SIT Autonomous and their robot SIT AI driver. That's the name of it. Then we'll have Team Polymove, who are going to unleash their AI, which has a slightly cooler name, in my opinion, Ascari. Now, this AI has been taking wins at the Indy Autonomous Challenge recently, so we're going to see tonight if it's got the skills to finally bring SIT's dominant form to an end. So that's the order of play tonight. SIT are going to be out on track first, and Polymove will go second. And to talk us through both runs, I'm joined tonight, as ever, by our resident robot commentator. He's not a robot, but he talks about the robots, commentates on the robots, Andy McEwen. Andy, take us through tonight's rules in a little more detail, would you?
Thanks, Matt. Let's take a look, shall we, at how this all works then. The Offsprint challenge is all about time. Most importantly, not running out of it. The challenge is a 9.55 kilometre traffic sprint around the outer circuit at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Now, we'll credit the teams with 7 minutes, and that 7 minutes is crucial because once Mission Control sends a go to the teams, that time starts to tick down. They have to complete the nearly 10 kilometre course before that runs down to 0, otherwise they're out. Now, if that wasn't already quite a lot to get your head around, there's always an added layer of complexity. That's what Roborace is all about, after all. As well as traffic on track, the teams also have to contend with dynamic obstacles and loot. For every obstacle or traffic item that they hit, a massive 10 seconds is taken away from their saved time. So, just like driving on the real roads, they need to make sure not to hit anything. The one thing they can hit, though, is loot. For every item of loot they collect, 1 valuable second is saved from their total time. The winner of tonight's challenge is the team that gets to the end of the traffic sprint with the most time saved. And finally, if all 4 wheels go beyond track limits and Mission Control registers the car as off track at the same time, that will result in an instant mission fail. Similarly, if they fail to complete the course within the 7 minutes, that's also a failure. So, some tough love from Roborace when it comes to setting the rules, but that's part of what makes this so challenging. What do we think then? Can the teams handle it?
Well, they certainly seem as though they've been able to handle it in the past, don't they? As I said, we've got 2 heavyweights tonight going at it. Our first has won 6 of the past 7 off sprints. They're the current leaders of the season beta championship. They're looking pretty unstoppable, but that's been said about a heavyweight past, hasn't it? And it only takes one big punch to provide a shock knockout and change everything. And here's a look at the challengers looking to make that knockout punch tonight. Yes, indeed, the Roborace Season Beta Championship leaders and dominators of the Offsprint season so far. I'm joined now by 3 members of Acronis SIT Autonomous, Ilya, Maxim and Ruslan. Thank you once again for joining us, guys. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, 6 out of 7 wins so far. Are you starting to feel a little bit of pressure now, guys, Ilya, to keep performing and to keep this winning run going?
Hi, Matt. I think anything can go wrong. So we will not be surprised if something will go wrong. So, but we feel a bit prepared and expecting good results because it's the same mission, same car, virtual environment. So we're quite familiar with it, and we don't expect a lot of unpredictables. Maybe there will be some strange objects or which we don't know how to avoid. But anyway, we are quite confident.
Yeah, well, that will be up to the AI driver, won't it, to negotiate those objects, which is what makes this so interesting, I think, for me. So, Maxim, what have you guys been working on? I think the last Offsprint, you kind of suggested that you were working more towards season beta and getting the real car back on the track. Have you actually made any adjustments to the AI for this challenge?
Yeah, we did a couple of adjustments. Last time we have a lot of collisions with static objects. We did a great job to improve performance, our performance like static obstacles. We still have some issues, and we expect that we will hit probably a couple of static obstacles anyway. Yeah, but we definitely will see some improvements, and I think it is the most beautiful part.
Yeah, well, looking forward to seeing that. And you're right, it is the most beautiful part. We loved to see the racing, and Ruslan, that's what this is all about. It's about competition. Tonight you have a single head-to-head with Team Polymove. Are you kind of looking at them, at what they've been doing, maybe looking for a weakness, or are you just focusing on your own AI and looking to go as fast as possible?
So First of all, hi Matt, nice to see you again. And so answering your question, we are mostly focusing on our own stack, and we are trying to find weaknesses in our own stack. I guess there is not much else to add to it. So mostly focusing on our own stack, mostly focusing on beating our own baseline. Once Roborace starts becoming more competitive, then we'll definitely be looking at other teams. But as of now, I think we're mostly focused on our own improvements.
Okay, well, I'm sure you guys are all kind of waiting with anticipation to see how your robot did, because as some of the viewers watching this might not realize, the run has already taken place. The guys don't know, we don't know how it went on. It was run behind virtual closed doors. It was run in secret. So this is the first time we're all going to see together how the robot did. Should we go to Andy now then and find out how SIT got on at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway? Andy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Matt. Here we go then. Acronis SIT Autonomous looking to continue this hugely impressive run of form that they've had, winning all but one of the off-sprints that we've had so far. They and Polymove are actually the only two teams who have entered every single one of these off-sprint challenges. It would be really interesting when we go back to real racing to see what sort of advantage that gives the two teams. So far then, we are through the first couple of corners safely. That is good news for SIT. But we know they can do this now. We know that they can negotiate these off sprints. We know that they can set good times. We want to see just how far they can push it, just how quickly they can go. You'll have noticed we've got a couple of amendments to the metaverse here today. The obstacles and the ghost cars taking on a slightly different appearance. You can see those obstacle walls look a little bit more foreboding, don't they? The loot looks a bit different. And we've got these things which I'm told we're still calling ghost cars. They don't look like cars to me, but they look like something out of a science fiction movie. Whatever they are, though, SIT negotiating the first one pretty well around that tight right-hander. They have collected one of the obstacle walls, but you can see on the top right corner they are saving lots of time by hitting all of these items of loot, carrying good speed there, whilst also negotiating the wall through the quick right-hander. And as the 7 minutes ticks down, they'll be hoping that they can keep that high speed up. Oh, that wasn't ideal though, just clipped a wall there through that tight corner. And that was odd, because that's exactly the kind of obstacle that SIT in the past have avoided seemingly with ease. So a little bit intriguing to see them collecting a few more penalties here in the early stages than we're used to seeing. Speed really drops through this tight little left section. We've seen that in the past, some of the teams choosing to be really cautious through there, but now they've got to throw that caution out the window, try and get past this ghost car as quickly as they can. But look how quickly it's going down the straight, and then it all funnels down, and unfortunately they end up picking up another 10-second penalty. A reminder, if you're new to these off sprints then, for every obstacle that they hit, be they the static obstacles, which you can see them going past there, or these moving ghost cars, that's 10 seconds that get taken off their time, and 1 second is added for each item of loot they pick up. You'll see it flash green in the corner if they're gaining time, red if they're losing it, and so far they've saved about 16 seconds up to this point. So coming towards the slowest part of the track once again here, you can see just how difficult it is to overtake the ghost cars. It's a pretty narrow circuit to start with, and then when you add in the obstacles that they have to negotiate as well, that really does make it tricky to find a way past. But they did get past the ghost car on that occasion. Now they open up the taps again, building the speed, looking backwards there at what the ghost car's doing in the background. Strangely, they seem to avoid some of the loot items there down the back. Oh, actually, they may have been obstacles. I think they were actually obstacles that they were grinding their way between. Oh, Oh, really hard there to negotiate that one. And look, as they come back on the line, the ghost car catches them up and catches them out, actually. They'd slowed down to avoid the static obstacle and ended up getting hit by the dynamic one, so that has cost them a bit more time. Their best performance that they had so far in these off-sprints came back in off-sprint 3, actually, Dark Isle, where they managed to save nearly 3 minutes, but we've seen these off-sprints getting harder and harder as we go through, with more obstacles being thrown at the teams. So for a lot of the teams, it was those early performances actually that saw them save the biggest amount of time, but actually it's harder to save anything more than a minute or so as it gets harder and harder. 6.5 kilometres done then, so we're getting nicely through the run here. But remember, we're only about 2/3 of the way through here, under 3 minutes left of their time. Worth mentioning that SIT said that they and Polymove were the only two teams to enter every off-sprint so far, but SIT are the only ones to have finished every off-sprint. They've never finished worse than second place, actually, winning all but one of the off-sprint competitions that they've entered. And it's that sort of dominance that leads us to expect perfection from them. And actually, there are a couple of mistakes being made here. Just a few of these obstacles being clipped, a few of the ghost cars getting in the way too. But I would say this is the hardest combination of metaverse items that they've had to contend with so far. There are lots more obstacles, I think, for them to avoid, and fewer of those loot items out there, so they don't have as much opportunity to gain back the time that they've had in the past. And you can see there, that loot item very close to an obstacle, so you've got to be precise if you're going to try and save that 1 second. Is it worth the risk to save just 1 second of time? Another ghost car gets in the way, and a look of surprise there on the face of Ilya as he sees another collision there, another 10 seconds wasted. And they are finding it really hard, actually, to get past the ghost cars here today. The ghost cars are going faster, I think, than we've seen in the past. And that just added to the fact there are more obstacles out there is making it harder to get through cleanly. So we are getting down towards the end now then. 9.5 kilometres, just over 9.5 kilometres is the distance that they have to complete. So just one more corner really, and then the long blast to the finish. And are we going to have more than a minute saved? It's going to be touch and go, isn't it, here? They've got this last little run through past one more obstacle. Another second is saved. And when they get to the end, are we going to have a minute left? It's going to be close. Yes, just about. 1 minute and 1 second left at the end. Mission accomplished then for Acronis SIT, but that was touch and go, actually, towards the end there, as to whether we were going to dip below the 1 minute mark. They have, I believe, only once gone below, no, in fact, they've never gone below 1 minute saved, and they still keep that 100% record going now. So confirmation then of the result for Acronis SIT, a top speed of 203 kilometres now, or 126 kilometres now if you prefer, but crucially it's that time on the right that matters. 1 minute and 1 second saved. A decent effort, but is it going to be enough to get them another victory in this off sprint? Well, we'll find out very shortly. Acronis SIT then sitting at the top of the leaderboard for now, but Matt, we still got Polymove to come later on. This is going to be a good one, I can feel it.
Is not beyond the realms of possibility for Polymove, that's for sure. Let's get the reaction of the team then. Ilya, you're smiling. Are you satisfied with that run?
Yeah, of course I'm satisfied, but I'm smiling probably this is the other reason. I hear the birds sing. It's a good sound. So it's a good run, but you see the Ghost car is very, very competitive, so there has a lot of Ghost car has a lot of performance and it's quite hard to take it. So I don't know, because maybe I expect that at some point Ghost car will start following the same rules that we follow, so they will also try to avoid obstacles. Then it will be easier to overtake, because right now we are sometimes losing time, losing the momentum, losing the speed when we are avoiding obstacles, but the Ghost car keeping the speed and it's hard to catch them. So that's one of the reasons of slow performance. And anyway, we hit again like several obstacles, and we have issues to work in during before the next Offsprint, before the next round. So there's a few issues that we still need to improve.
Okay, well that's interesting actually in terms of the performance of the ghost cars. Maxim, how about you? Was there any other elements of the AI behavior that caught your eye that, like Ilya, you were seeing potential to improve on before the next Offsprint?
Yeah, we will definitely work on static objects. Yeah, it's to fix. Sometimes it's like on the edge, but yeah, we will try to fix that. And also ghost cars, they're extremely fast. I believe that there is no option to overtake with promising racing like your opponent. About racing like about cooperative game, where you like your opponent actually should leave you space in order to nice corner together. Yeah, and ghost cars, they erratic, and it is actually not we are expecting in real race. And right now we're more focused on like this. And yeah, our philosophy behind our software means that we in order to the car, we need to compromise racing line of your opponent and negotiate corner together. That's why we see such collisions. It's from my perspective, it's like racing incident actually, and yeah, it's actually what we expect from race car. It's how we did this. It's our idea behind.
Yeah. It's a bit like racing against Max Verstappen, isn't it? Really, with the ghost cars, they don't really seem to give you much room on the track. Ruslan, is that? Can I ask you a question? Actually, in your AI, is it written into your current driver to be aware of? So, let's say, for example, now we had wheel-to-wheel racing and Team Polymove were on track with you. Would your driver see an attack from another car coming and leave the space to come through, or how would that work?
Actually, yes. So actually, we have that capability in our software. That comes down to the prediction module that we have. And if the prediction module says that we are going to have any kind of collision with a vehicle, with another vehicle, we'll definitely try to avoid it. Even though this vehicle might be coming from behind, so which means that it will be attacking us, we will actually move out and give space to this vehicle. So yeah, we have this capability. About the current Offsprint, so I've been thinking. So this is what I've been thinking. So definitely we see a substantial performance increase in the ghost cars, and I think if we want to keep this racing interesting, and as my colleagues already noticed, that it's very difficult to overtake ghost cars when they're so fast and when they're not following the rules that we have to follow. And in my opinion, is if you want to keep this racing interesting, this is the point to start introducing the same rules for the ghost cars as well. Because otherwise, they're just going to be always in front of us, because we have to do all this maneuvering to take route, to avoid obstacles, and they can just pass right through it, and that's just not fair. And given that they're so fast, because previously they were slower and we could actually overtake them on the straights, we can dive into the corners, but now they're fast, we cannot do this anymore. So we have to make the same rules to everybody. I think this is a good point to start introducing this.
No, that's a really interesting point actually, and I'm sure Chip and the Roborace team will be watching that with interest. Ilya, I'm sure that's a conversation you might have as well with Chip. But also, just finally, before we move on to Polymove, whilst we're doing Offsprint challenges and this racing is virtual, is there any possibility of seeing two virtual robo cars from two different teams doing virtual wheel-to-wheel racing? Do you think is that something you would be up for? Would you like to see that?
We are preparing for that actually, and we really want to do it. So that's definitely what we need to do before we go to wheel-to-wheel race on real track. We definitely need to run wheel-to-wheel race in simulator like our AI against another team AI, or our AI against our AI. So that's we definitely need to do it, and I'm patiently waiting from Roborace's announcement when we will be able to start this competition in this way.
Yeah, really. Okay, that sounds cool. I'm really excited by that. Okay, well, thanks, guys. Great to get your honest opinions on things there. Let's see if we can dip into our chat room now and see what the viewers have been making of the racing so far. This is a free space for any all opinions and questions. Last week, someone was asking about spirit animals, for example. So it looks like we're more on the Roborace theme here this week, thankfully. From Zell, how long before the AIs will be able to teach themselves how to race? That's an interesting one, actually, guys. Ruslan, maybe you can answer this for us. Obviously, the cars are currently the drivers are able to go fast. They're able to avoid things. That's crucial to racing. But also, there are other kind of elements that make up the psychology of a racing driver, isn't there? What do you see? What's the room for development here in that respect?
Okay, so I would start by saying that the algorithms that allow race cars to teach themselves how to race are already there. It's called reinforcement learning, and this is something that we have been looking into as well. But the big problem with reinforcement learning is that there is a huge complexity that is associated with creating the necessary infrastructure for running these experiments. And then the drivers that you get as a result of these algorithms, they are very difficult to interpret. Like if it makes this sudden move, it's very difficult to say why and how to fix that. And I would say that it's not the main difficulty there is not in so much the absence of these algorithms, because they are already out there, but in explaining why these algorithms do what they do, and in creating the necessary infrastructure for these algorithms to teach themselves. And by infrastructure, I also mean the part where you have to teach them in simulator and then to transfer these drivers into the real world. That's another huge task that is partially solved, but still a lot of work to adapt it to real world solutions.
Okay, cool. Well, another area for you guys, no doubt, to work hard on. I'm glad it's you guys doing it and not me. That sounds very complicated. Thank you for the answer, Ruslan. Thank you for the question as well. To Zell, do remember to join in. If you're watching, you don't need to be polite. Tell us what you really think. We've had some honest opinions from these guys already, and we may see them later on. Let's find out whether we do or not, because it's time now to bring on our rival team in tonight's head-to-head. So we'll say goodbye to Team SIT Autonomous for the moment, possibly. Maybe Ilya, Maxim, Ruslan, thanks once again. Goodbye for now. And we'll be right back after this short break with the deciding run in Offsprint 8. Right, welcome back to Offsprint 8. If you've only just joined us tonight, we're holding a head-to-head between two of Roborace's fastest teams, Acronis SIT, who we've already seen on track before the break. They set a really decent time, but now it's time to bring in their rivals. It's Team Polymove with their robot Ascari. If you're familiar with Italian motorsport, that will mean something to you. Ascari and Team Polymove have been competing in all of the previous Offsprints, actually, so they're veterans really of the sim environment. Let's have a look at how they've got on so far. Yes, indeed, from the Politecnico di Milano, Team Polymove, Andrea, Stefano and Rodrigo join us on the line now. Thank you, guys, and good evening. Welcome along to Offsprint 8. Things have been going well for you guys. You came actually very close to win Offsprint 7. Once you got the logs back and you were able to kind of debrief between you, what conclusions did you come to around Ascari's performance? Andrea, would you like to answer this first question?
Yeah, sure. We had a deep look at those logs, and especially the nice part of looking at logs after like this kind of races and not just after internal tests is that you have a benchmark from other teams, so you can compare what you did with what other teams did. So we tried to understand where we had problems and where like the winning team Acronis didn't, and we tried to improve in those situations. So I think we made some changes, nothing major, nothing extremely revolutionary with respect last time, but there's something better, I think. So I hope it's gonna be a better performance today.
Overall, Rodrigo, do you feel like you're closing the gap to Acronis SIT?
Of course, it's a really demanding job because SIT is a really strong team, so we are working really hard in that direction. After the last race, we managed to, as Andrea said, analyze the log and fine-tune our ADS driver in order to try and maximize our performance on track. So hopefully we can reach them and beat them, maybe.
Yeah, that's the challenge. We've just been talking, Stefano, with Team SIT. I don't know if you guys saw the conversation about potentially virtual wheel-to-wheel racing. They want to see it. They want to race against you guys on the track. Would you guys like to do that too?
Yeah, sure. We're ready for that. That's our goal. That's everyone's goal, I would say. Real wheel-to-wheel race, starting from simulation, then to the real racetrack. That's what we want to do, and we're ready for it.
Okay, well, all right, well, that's good to hear. You're ready. Let's see how ready you were then for the latest challenge in Offsprint 8. SIT, of course, as we saw, they set a fast time before the break, but all eyes right now on Polymove's robot Ascari. Did they manage to outrun SIT? Let's find out with Andy.
Yeah, here we go then. Team Polymove off the line, and away they go. Let's see, can they get their first off-sprint victory? Become only the third different team to win one of these off-sprints. Mentioned earlier on that SIT had this incredible run of form going, winning all but one of the rounds so far. The other round was actually won by Autonomous Racing Graz, but after a bit of a disappointment in our previous off-sprint where they went off the track at high speed, they are not running here today. So Polymove, the only team then that could potentially take this away from Acronis SIT Autonomous. Solid start so far. They haven't hit any of the obstacles through the first few corners, but if the first run that we saw from SIT is anything to go by, it's these pesky ghost cars that are going to cause the problem. They are definitely faster, they're definitely not slowing down for the obstacles, and that means they're gaining time on our teams, and a bit of a mistake there for Polymove as they hit an obstacle wall, and then it almost looked like the AI reacted a bit late to that obstacle and swerved actually to avoid an item of loot that could have saved them a second's worth of time. But see the problem here that Ilya was talking about in the interview just now, the way in which the teams are slowing down to negotiate these obstacles, that's not something the ghost cars are doing. So even if they overtake a ghost car, it again goes back past them again the next time they have to slow down for the obstacles. So it really is challenging to not lose too much time to the ghost cars in the off-sprint at the moment. This looks pretty good though for Polymove, I'd say. That one obstacle hit, but I think they're keeping up a good average speed here, and that's kind of what this is all about, really. We always have at the end on the results graphic the top speed that the teams reach, but it's really the average speed that is more important. Of course, if you can avoid slowing down too much for these obstacles, then that can really win you back a lot of time over the 9.5 kilometres. And this looks a bit more rapid at the moment, I'd say, than SIT's performance. They're not slowing down as much for those obstacles, they're keeping the speed up, and maybe not collecting as many items of loot though. Oh, and as I say that they're keeping the speed up, they suddenly slow down for no apparent reason and then go flat out through the obstacle. Here comes the ghost car as well. It's going to overtake them. They need to try and avoid hitting it when they get to the next sequence of corners. It funnels down between the obstacle walls, and actually the ghost car gets away from them for now. But it almost seems to me like there's a delayed reaction going on here, isn't there? The car or the AI is almost reacting too early or too late to some of the obstacles, and that's getting them into a spot of trouble at the moment. I'm sure the team will be able to tell us more about that after. See, they're really slowing down, almost coming to a standstill, even though they were already actually avoiding the obstacles. So strong start here for Polymove, but they're now maybe becoming a bit too cautious. Talk about all of this in the present tense as if there's anything that the team can do about this. Of course, this all happened yesterday, and even when the run is happening live, once the teams hand over their AI to Roborace, there's nothing they can do then. It's all down to what they've taught the AI, what the AI has learned over time, as to whether they're able to deal with everything that the metaverse is throwing at them. And now you see they're getting back up to speed again, aren't they? So a little bit of a wobble there in the middle. They definitely lost some time as a result of that, but now they are picking the pace up again, and they need to try and keep those two ghost cars behind them. Behind them, really. If they overtake them, then that will... Oh, that's exactly what's happening. Look, they've really slowed again. What's this all about? They don't appear to have any obstacles to avoid. Oh, well, in the end, they hit a couple anyway, so double whammy there. They slowed down for no real reason, and then they lost 20 seconds by hitting two obstacle walls in quick succession. So it's a shame that Polymove. Clearly a bit more work to be done. I think it's fair to say that Polymove are maybe throwing a bit more at these off-sprints now than SIT. SIT already have a winning formula. They are focusing much more on the resumption of season beta in the near future. So perhaps some of the new things that Polymove have tried haven't necessarily worked. Again, we'll get the team's thoughts on that when they chat to Matt afterwards. Nicely done there. They managed to get through quite a small gap, really, to avoid that two obstacles that were either side of the road. What's strange to me is that the AI isn't reacting the same for every obstacle they come across. Some of them they're really slowing down for, and then some of them they're continuing to carry good speed through. So I wonder what the calculation is that's being made by the AI as to why they're slowing down more at some points than other points. It doesn't seem to matter which bit of the track they're on. It's just certain obstacles they're being a bit more cautious around. This looks a lot better now. This part of the course they seem to be working well on. They're racing through this actually. 7.5 kilometres covered already, so only 2 more kilometres to go. Remember, the time that they're trying to beat is 1 minute and 1 second. That was how much time SIT saved. We're less than a minute away from that now. Every item of loot that Polymove can collect now is going to really help them in their quest to try and get their first ever off-sprint victory. It's going to take some doing then. They've got to cover 1.5 kilometres in less than 30 seconds. I don't think it's quite going to happen, but this has still been the most competitive that they've looked so far, I would say. They've blown a bit hot and cold on occasion. They've finished only 3 of the 7 off-sprints that they've attempted. However, the 3 that they finished second every time, and I'm afraid it's going to be another second place finish here today, because with now 1 minute and 1 second left of time saved, they still have just under half a kilometre to go. They're not quite going to beat Acronis SIT Autonomous's time, but how close can they get? That's the real question. They don't want to run out of time, of course. They shouldn't run out of time, with now just 0.2 of a kilometre left, but one ghost car that gets in the way could really hurt them. 10 seconds lost there as well. They're just about going to do it though. 9.55 kilometres is completed. Mission accomplished for Team Polymove. It's not going to be enough for the win today, but with 24 seconds saved, that is a solid run. A couple of things to learn there, a couple of things that I'd be interested in getting answers to as well, particularly the way that they're interacting with some of those ghost cars. But most importantly, they get to the end, they don't go off the track, they don't run out of time, and they will notch up a 4th second placed finish so far. A similar top speed look to SIT, 201 kilometers an hour. That was very comparable to what our first team did, 125 miles per hour, but only the 23 seconds saved. They get to the finish then, but still a bit more work to do if they're going to go on and beat Acronis SIT Autonomous. And there you can see that Acronis are confirmed at the top of the times. 1 minute and 1 second then the winning time saved here in Offsprint 8.
Great stuff, thanks Andy. Well done guys. Congratulations on another mission completed. Andrea, Stefano, Rodrigo, how do you feel about that? It looked to be some real positives actually in that run, even though obviously there were some moments where the car slowed. Maybe you can give us a little bit of insight into that, Andrea.
Well, yes. The main problem, I think, we have to look better at the logs, but the thing that we're working on most is how to deal with these very crowded scenarios, especially because in the last races there's been a bit of a back and forth with how much the track is crowded, so we never know how much we have this situation in which the space, the free space on the track, how much free space on the track we have. So it's very difficult to deal with this kind of slalom situations. We're trying to improve our driver skills on that, but as you saw, there's still a bit of work to do.
Okay, so let's go to Rodrigo then. I'm not sure if this is your specific area of expertise, Rodrigo, but is that a big step now that you have to make, or is it a relatively small one? Are you as close as you look to be now to challenging SIT? Because you look close.
Of course, as Andrea said, it's a matter of fine-tuning the ADS driver, and it's not always easy to find the best compromise between going fast and going safe, because if you like to go fast, you are ready to take more risks, but if you take more risks, there may be the possibility that you hit more obstacles. So it's always a trade-off between how fast you want to go and how safe you want to be. We are working in the direction of going fast and going safe, which is of course a big step ahead, but we are working on it.
That's a good lesson for life, isn't it? It's a compromise between going fast or going safe. Which side of the compromise will you lean towards, Stefano, now, do you think, in Offsprint 9? What will you look specifically to kind of... what kind of progress would you like to see next time?
Well, as Rodrigo said, it's kind of a trade-off between the two. So we want to get better in both directions. We want to make our AI driver as smarter as possible, let me say. So that means going faster and going safer in a way. So we're going to push in both directions to improve our driver.
Good. Well, we'll look forward to seeing what you guys can do in Offsprint 9, because personally I'm very excited to see it. I think you put on a great performance already. We're seeing the progress, and I hope you're very proud and happy with what you've achieved so far, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Andrea, Stefano, Rodrigo, well done. Thank you once again. Have a great weekend. Keep working, and we'll see you soon.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Let's take a look then. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao. Let's take a look at how our two head-to-head competitors did then. Let's have a look at the numbers and confirm for you the results of Offsprint 8 Unity. Our winners, of course, Acronis SIT Autonomous. No massive surprise there. Well, we'll have a look at that in a moment, actually. First of all, let's dip back into the chat room, shall we, and see what we've got in the chat room after that run. Not a lot, by the looks of things. Looks like the chat room may be empty. So yeah, there you go. There's confirmation of those times then. 1 minute and 1 second save for Acronis SIT. Just the 23 seconds for Polymove, but it could have been so much better, couldn't it? If the car had been a little bit more consistent through those slalom runs with the obstacles. Really, really interesting competition tonight between those two teams. And as I said, really looking forward now to seeing what the guys can do in Offsprint 9. Right, I think hopefully we can be joined once again now by the members of Acronis SIT Autonomous, because I'm sure they're feeling very satisfied, but also quite interested as well, I'm sure, having seen the performance of Polymove tonight. It's 7 out of 8 Offsprint victories for Acronis SIT Autonomous, which is a phenomenal achievement. And if we can hopefully speak to Ilya and to Maxim and to Ruslan, we will hopefully speak to them in a moment. But let's take the opportunity to celebrate with SIT. So guys, I'm sure you are all doing your own little dances there as well in the background whilst we watch that. 7 from 8 victories now for Acronis SIT. Ilya, first of all, we may have only had one other team competing tonight, but it was a very strong challenge, wasn't it, in the end from Team Polymove? Were you impressed?
Yeah, it was very close, and it's great to see Polymove competing, and because only 2 teams, it's a good move, because other teams didn't even show up. So it's a good performance anyway.
And also we talked earlier, Ruslan, about hopefully getting some wheel-to-wheel racing, albeit virtual for now, and it sounds as though at least Team Polymove are up for the challenge, so hopefully hopefully we can see that happen. What did you make of the Offsprint challenge overall today? I'm not sure if Ruslan heard me then. We're just asking Ruslan what you made generally of the challenge head to head. Yeah.
Well, we watched Polymove compete, and it certainly seems that they're getting closer and closer. And this is going back to what I said earlier about being more competitive. We're definitely looking forward to AI versus AI, and we're actually already taking steps to simulate this within our own stack. So to prepare ourselves a little bit to the upcoming challenges. And hopefully Polymove will make a move very soon, if you know what I mean. So yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean, for sure. And here we go, Maxim, with just a reminder of the issues that you guys had tonight, and the areas, I guess, that you're going to be looking to work on ahead of Offsprint 9, where I suppose we also hope that the ghost cars will be detuned a little bit, maybe.
We actually will definitely work on improving static objects pipelines. Yeah, we also will focus on like wheel-to-wheel racing. Hope that it's actually some improvements should be done even to Roborace side. maybe if we really want to see some kind of wheel-to-wheel race, there definitely should be some kind of regulations from like directors, race control. Anyway, we will have some like crashes on the corners, and I'm really curious to know how the result in general. And yeah, I hope we will see really nice wheel-to-wheel racing.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to that. And finally, for you, Ilya, I guess after tonight's Offsprint, the head-to-head with Polymove and talk of the wheel-to-wheel racing in the near future, there's extra motivation now for you guys to take into your work and something to really kind of get excited about.
Oh, actually, we already extra motivated. I mean, in Roborace, it's very, very great to be the best place for us, because we love racing, we love self-driving, we love technology, so we already extra motivated. And like, of course, we are waiting like for new challenges, for new car, for new new wheel-to-wheel competition on wheel track. So I'm very excited about future of Roborace and future competitions that we'll see. So we're always motivated when we in Roborace.
Well, that's good news for you guys, good news for us as spectators as well, but bad news for all the other teams, because once again, guys, you've dominated this Offsprint challenge, so well done, congratulations once again, and we look forward to seeing you in Offsprint 9 and hopefully that wheel-to-wheel racing very soon. Thanks, guys. Ilya, Maxim, Ruslan, have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, a slightly different format then for Offsprint 8 for Unity. Two of our teams squaring off in a head-to-head winner-takes-all battle. And unsurprisingly maybe, Acronis SIT took the win once again, but those times are getting closer. Polymove are indeed on the move, and I'm not so sure that this domination from SIT in Roborace is going to remain unbroken for much longer. Thank you so much for those of you who've been posting in the chat room. Sorry to anybody we didn't manage to get to there at the end with a slight technical issue, but I've really enjoyed it tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. This has been Offsprint 8 Unity. We're signing out now, and we'll look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Good night. Have a great weekend.